Good morning and welcome to Coffee and, the longest running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question to the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email at joe@onesocketradio.com. And now let's join the Coffee and panel on ON 1240, WOON One Socket Radio.
Yes, good morning to you. It is Coffee In here on ON AM and FM. And it's, what is it? It's Wednesday morning. Yes, it is. And it's June 3rd. Yes, it is. John Ward's here. Good morning to you, John.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, everyone.
John with a very tightly trimmed beard.
Dave,
looks good.
Lovely day.
It's a lovely day, that's right. Joining us on the phone, we got a couple of people on the phone, John. Tim Draper from Navigant Credit Union. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, everybody.
All right. And Melissa Smith from the St. Antoine Communities on the phone as well. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning.
Nice to have both of you with us. And let's start things off with Melissa with the first message from the St. Antoine Communities.
Thank you. So, St. Antoine Community, we are located in North Smithfield at the corner of 400 Mendon and 10 Rose Avenue. On our campus, we have 2 buildings with 4 levels of care. We offer assisted living, rehabilitative services, a secured memory care unit, as well as long-term skilled nursing support. In our first building on our property, which is the Villa, located at 400 Mendon Road, it's our 76-apartment assisted living facility. We offer traditional assisted living apartments in 3 different styles, as well as an 8-resident memory care unit. And then in the second building on our property, which is actually located at 10 Rose Ave at that corner, is our 260-bed skilled long-term care and short-term care rehabilitative facility. Inside, we showcase our state-of-the-art Easy Street Rehab Center, as well as our secured memory care unit and our private hospice suite. St. Antoine Community feels like home, is welcoming to all. If you've never been up to visit us, I encourage you to take a ride up north and tour our beautiful campus. You can call me at 767-3500. I'd be happy to show you around or answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Melissa. Okay, well, last night was interesting, to say the least. I was very busy last night because of where I'm situated and where I live. So I'm keeping an eye on what's going on in Boston. I'm keeping an eye on what was going on in Brockton, and then I'm following social media, what's going on down here in Woonsocket. I'm trying to find out what's happening in Garden City, in Cranston, and in Warwick. And so, John, up here, no curfew in the city of Woonsocket, but it was recommended that all residents just stay inside for the night.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That works, because then you can identify if people who, I'm sure there were some folks out that were touring the city to see what was going on, if anything. Pretty much nothing was going on.
Well, Dave tells me as he was listening to the scanner last night. The police were on top of things. Yes. Okay, car stopped here, motorcycle stopped there. Go check out what they're doing.
If something didn't look right, they were on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you do. That's the job. Under the circumstances, there was, I believe, everyone believed, credible threats. And so you prepare appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was, and I'm glad there was no need for a curfew.
Mm-hmm.
Some communities did them starting at 8 o'clock. I thought it was interesting that if you were voting in the primary at the last moment, and you would be
violating curfew,
you would be leaving the polls and probably violating somebody's curfew. But it worked out for the best. The only problem with these kinds of threats is, first, you don't know if they're phony or not,
mm-hmm.
and apparently this was, or these folks who were putting out these messages realized that they were foolishly tipping their hand.
So we're postponed.
And so postpone it.
Yeah. To when?
Well, that's the problem. Now every day is a credible threat.
Yes.
If the the thing is, the nature of chatter is that eventually you can identify who the people are that are doing the chattering,
mm-hmm.
and then proper authorities go visit them and say hello and introduce themselves and apprise them of what's up, what they have to look forward to if they do anything inappropriate.
Now, Tim, you're in Cumberland, and you're one of the communities that had a curfew last night. Were you aware there was a curfew last night?
Yeah, I did. It popped up on social media sometime around 6 o'clock, I think. We started
mm-hmm.
seeing the mayor put that up there. I'm not 100% sure why, other than the fact that maybe we border Central Falls, and they were concerned a little bit about that.
Well, they had a curfew too.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if that was part of the reason why we put one in place. But it was nothing unusual was happening. Although I did hear helicopters flying last night a lot.
Well, they were over Woonsocket as well, and they were circling the state really. I don't know if there was more than one helicopter up and around. I'm not up on that.
I don't know either. I heard them go right over my home, though, at one point last night. So they were around.
See, I live near an airport. It happens all the time. Doesn't really faze me. There's a helicopter overhead. So
nothing new for you.
Yeah, it's nothing new for me. So, Melissa, were you surprised that there was no curfew for North Smithfield?
Yes, I guess so. I don't really think that there were any major threats in our town, except there were a few, rumor mill reports through social media up near Eddie Dowling Highway, which is that funny stretch where Walmart's located. It's, yes, North Smithfield, but really on the line in Woonsocket. So I think some folks were just avoiding that area. I was more concerned about the social media posts regarding, I guess, bricks being thrown on 146.
So I saw that too.
From my house. So I guess there was a warning out for the stretch from pretty much the exit I live off of, which is on the line of Burrville, straight down to Lincoln. So I don't know if there were multiple accounts of bricks being reported. And then I read this morning that 295 that applied there as well. So did you guys hear anything about that?
Just what I saw last night, but it's unconfirmed.
I heard it, but I have not seen any news reports confirming
that it actually
happened.
Yeah.
It's weird because it was being reported, or at least shared from the local police department. So I thought, okay, there must be some credible evidence. It can't just be rumor mill if they're throwing it out there. So
I saw 2 reports of fires in Woonsocket last night that I don't believe took place. And
right, I did
heard about the brick going over the bridge on 295. Have not seen any news reports. Watched some morning television news, 2 separate channels. Not a word.
Nothing.
Didn't see anything.
I know you cringed almost turning on the news this morning because you went.
To what happened?
I went to bed last night. I'm assuming you all did the same, but you went to bed sort of feeling like, what am I going to wake up to? But no, I was surprised, pleasantly surprised to hear that it was quiet.
Yes, I'm also on the. Peter Neronas sends out emails every now and then. Nothing from him. I'm also on the Rhode Island State Police when they send out press releases about stuff that's taken place, and there's just nothing. So. I'm going to assume right now that the brick throwing did not happen.
But sadly, when the plywood comes down off the windows, it doesn't mean that they may not just, whoever they are, however they're organized, may not just decide to erupt somewhere, anywhere.
Do you think the plywood stays on through the weekend, at least through the weekend?
I don't know. It doesn't really make sense, but I guess
you want to protect yourself.
Well, that's the thing. People want to protect their businesses.
Yeah.
It's a hard measure. I mean, this is really starting to make me not look forward to July.
When it's hot and gets hotter?
Well, it's just that each month there's been some new craziness going on in this year.
Yeah.
Between the virus and early hurricanes, and now in June comes and we have this eruption over a tragic death. Now the tragic deaths of many people, all of whom were needlessly killed. Many of them associated with this violence that has gone on. The rioting, the vandals, the anarchists, not the protesters. The protesters are a different group of people. They're fine. Yeah. They have a legitimate grievance that they are using their First Amendment protection to get out there and deliver as a message to those who write the laws. They are doing it exactly the right way. And then there are those other people.
That's what I was worried about most last night, because Brockton was so much, I don't know if you watched any of it, it was so close to tipping to one side, or tipping over and becoming really ugly. And like when these protesters go home, what happens when the real rioters come out?
Show up, yeah.
And so that was what I was most concerned about, although Dunkin' Donuts did get smashed. In Brockton, they smashed all the windows for whatever reason. Yet the city of Brockton...
Well, it's not to steal the valuables inside.
No, but the city of Brockton showed up...
Starbucks customers anyway.
Yeah, that's right. The city of Brockton showed up this morning with a street sweeper to clean up all the glass to help them out. Although, speaking about that, in Boston last night, Boston has just been able to open up their first recreational marijuana shops. Guess which shop got looted? They stole, according to reports, $100,000 worth of marijuana was stolen.
So they didn't get a chance to get much out of there, huh?
Yeah. And I'm sure the owners are back. Well, now what do we do? That stuff's not insured. It's all gone.
Oh, wait a minute. They're operating a marijuana dispensary business. They have lots of cash in the bank, I assure you.
Okay. Well, they'll have to go back out and buy it.
This is not a low-margin product.
But I'm sure they took.
Matter of fact, the marijuana distributors out west are the ones that are bringing their millions and millions of dollars to the east? To invest in the places in Massachusetts.
Oh, so we shouldn't worry about them?
Because they legally have no banks to put their cash in. Though they're developing laws to allow for that.
Yes.
Locally they're doing it, but...
how's that working out, Tim?
Up until a few years ago, they had no access, no place to put their cash. So they'd put it in real estate and marijuana dispensaries in other states.
How's it looking? Go ahead, Tim.
They still don't have a place to put it. They still,
Right. No, I know, but I know there's some states are working on laws that would make that possible. No.
The real challenge, John, believe it or not, is it's not just that we can't do business with marijuana dispensaries directly, but we can't do business with businesses that do business with the marijuana dispensary. So,
right,
it goes that. But,
they lost $100,000. I'm sorry.
Well, they had $100,000 in product.
Yeah, I'm not going to cry in my beer.
No.
No. In more than one way.
How about your coffee?
In more than one way, it's a growing business.
Okay. Now, were you because you're city council? Were you made aware that there were going to be people on the roof of the police station and on top of the?
Personally, was I aware?
Yeah, we should let the city council people know.
No.
People, rifle snipers. I don't know if they're snipers on top of the police station and in the city hall.
No.
No. Okay.
No. Nobody sent me a memo.
No.
Nobody
okay.
sent me an email. They were all busy doing their job, and it's probably
Yes.
best that they focused on doing their job. I did see the press release that the public safety director put out to describe it, and I did my duty by sharing it with the world as best I could on Facebook and Twitter. Let people know that I knew that this was out there for Woonsocket residents, and but yeah, nobody contacted the council.
Okay. Do you know of any other protests that are going to take place in Woonsocket?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Oh, well, and I don't want to call them protests. There's a group that's trying to organize a gathering for speaking and communicating.
I thought someone was going to take
put out
World War II
put
Park.
out a post about group meeting at Social Park.
Yeah, that's right.
It's sort of funny.
I knew what they meant.
Because it is World War II Veterans Memorial Park. They finally contacted the city clerk's office when they, I guess, got wind of the fact that it could be a problem and permitting may be required. The clerk put out a notice to the council and others, and I responded quickly by saying I believe with all of the health protocols that are required and in place before they do anything about permitting to use the park, which, by the way, would probably be too late now unless we held a special meeting just for that permit. They'd have to assure the emergency management officials that they would be in compliance with social distancing rules and all the necessary precautions taken. And it didn't seem like it was organized in that way.
Okay.
So I saw that the public works director indicated that he would leave it to the health officials to deal with, and so it really would come down to our fire chief, I guess, is our emergency management agent, and so he would be the one to evaluate it, discuss it with the state, and I suspect that it will not end up being a permitted event if it occurs, and I'm not suggesting that it should, but I don't want to discourage people from speaking out either.
They wanted a big thing. They wanted an axe, and they wanted singing and
that's
and
what I'm saying.
events.
It was going to be an event, and I don't have a problem with that, especially if it's to discuss not just the death of the person at the hands of the police officer, but tragically, so many other people have died as a result of this, who were African-American police officers. A retired
Yeah.
police officer that runs a pawn shop was
And business owners.
gunned down as a business owner. And he was African-American. It's madness out there at this point.
All right.
And the tragedy of the lives lost as a result of what should be a reasonable, I'm not going to say reasonable, that's not necessarily true, a proper protest that is there to communicate and hopefully to lead to change that is beneficial to society as a whole, is being poisoned by the activity of these anarchists.
Okay, we're going to take a break on the Coffee and program. So, Melissa, time for a second message from the St. Antoine communities.
Well, I am going to do my best to pick up the mood.
Okay.
I'm going to try my hardest. So, amidst all of the cancellations that have been taking place in our state with COVID and all the fun events in the summer season that have been canceled, I am happy to report that we are going to still have our golf tournament.
Great.
So I wanted to share that out loud with you all this morning because I'm hearing a lot of buzz that there's a lot of golf tournaments canceled in the month of June and even early July, but it's looking like a lot of golf courses are allowing and opening up to the possibility of running tournaments on a smaller scale. And we work with Kirkbride every year. We've been doing it for 20 years. This is our 21st annual golf tournament. And at this time, I'm happy to report that on August 17th, we will be having our golf tournament. Again, a little scaled back, a little different, but I'm just so happy that we're doing something fun to look forward to. It's a wonderful event. It's a wonderful cause. We always have a project in mind that we are raising funds for, and last year as well as this year, we are channeling dollars raised to our walking path project on our property, and it's actually breaking ground this summer, which I'm happy to report, and then the funds raised from this tournament will just add on to that path and perfect it for next year. So it's a two-tier project, takes 2 golf tournaments back-to-back years to afford the completion of this project. So we're excited. We're just happy to be focused on something positive right now, and I just wanted to share that with you all. So if you need any information about the golf tournament, if you're interested in playing or if you're interested in sponsoring the event, I encourage you to reach out to me at 767-3500. Just ask for Melissa Smith, or you can email our development director. Her name is Natalie Mack. And you can reach her at nmack@stantantoine.net. She'd be happy to help you as well. So just wanted to end on a high note this morning.
Thanks, Melissa. All right. Comments and questions can be called into the panel, 766-1240. More Coffee Ants coming up. Stay tuned.
Outdoor dining is now being offered at River Falls Restaurant. Come and enjoy your meal with the Blackstone River in the background. You need to make a reservation in order to eat outside at River Falls, so call 401-235-9026 for reservations. And your party needs to be 5 people or less. River Falls Restaurant is ready to provide you with their great burgers, combo meals, seafood, pasta, chicken, veal, and prime rib. Come and enjoy your meal outside at River Falls Restaurant, Market Square, Woonsocket. Call for reservations today, 401-235-9026, 235-9026, River Falls Restaurant.
Old Orchard Farm is open and ready to serve you right through October. They'll begin with their busy spring season featuring hundreds of annuals, hanging plants, arrangements, and green plants. Later, they'll feature fresh fruits and vegetables, including all the native produce. Come enjoy their outdoor courtyard stocked with hundreds of annuals, versatile and ideal for large spaces and small areas. Add color to a shady spot. Ask Luke about compatible varieties for early spring and summer. Old Orchard Farm, located on Old River Road, Manville. Also featuring fresh eggs, Rhode Island honey, garden tools, potting mix, and outdoor decor. Old Orchard Farm, a little bit of country near the city.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee in Pawtucket. They're a 62-year-old family business that roasts all its coffee right here in Rhode Island. Founded originally as Excellent Coffee Company, they provide great coffee to food service establishments throughout New England.
It's the worldwide sound of ON Radio.
Welcome back. It is Coffee and on ON, AM, and FM. This is Joe Callahan here with John Ward. And on the phone, Tim Draper and Melissa Smith. And breaking news, guys, on the you two that are listening in on the phone. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. State Rep Mike Morin has made an announcement. He is not seeking re-election.
Ooh.
How about that?
Oh,
He posted it, John, he posted it to his Facebook page, correct?
I've got it right here
He's-
on his
John's
Facebook
looking at it.
page. saying that he's announcing. He says, it's been an honor and a privilege to serve the citizens of Woonsocket at the State House. It's been a great experience working on issues that improve the quality of lives for our city and state, et cetera, et cetera.
But other things have come up.
Martin,
And... Go ahead, Tim.
He's getting out of Dodge before they have to figure this budget thing out.
Hey, maybe.
Well, no. Now let's be honest and fair. When I get to the last paragraph of this
Yes.
release, it says just what I thought, and I thought this about a year.
Okay.
His last paragraph, quote, I entered into politics because I had the time, said Rep. Morin. However, now I want to use my time to focus on the next chapter, which includes my fiancée, Darlene Boudreau, while working on our wedding plans for next year, due to COVID postponing our wedding this year. This new chapter of our lives is extremely exciting. And I had a hunch when I saw him at an event last year with this young lady. I thought, oh, this is, this. I had a suspicion he would not be running again. His communications were not quite as focused
Intense?
on the General Assembly, focused on other things, and it was just a hunch. Although I honestly thought Senator Pickard was not going to run, and yet he said the other day that he is running.
Surprise, surprise. So now that leaves this...
Maybe it's because he didn't actually have to meet this year.
Maybe. It was much easier for him. So, John, do you have just kicking around in your head right now, anybody you think might want to run?
My suspicion was right from the outset when Alex Kithis ran for the council seat, and my instinct telling me that Rep. Boren would not run, and Alex living in that district, he will be challenged as to whether or not he would prefer to remain on the council and run again for council, or if he would want to challenge for that seat, because there's a lot of pressure on the being put on by the progressive movement to get progressive candidates to run to fill some of the seats at the state level, because they're trying to get a stranglehold, literally, on the speakership, because the speaker is way too conservative for them. So you may hear an announcement from Alex Kithis that, with Rep. Morin's not seeking re-election, that he is intending, rather than running for council, to run for the House. I'm simply speculating. As a possibility.
What about you?
Me, I'm not running for the House.
Okay.
I'm living in my house. Apparently, I'm trapped in my house.
Your wife
If he runs for the House, he'll be kicked out of his house.
What was that, Melissa?
I said your wife hasn't kicked you out yet. That's great.
No, she has not.
That's awful sweet of her, huh?
Well,
all right. Well, try to think, keep it in the back of your mind of who else you might
in that Richard Gere kind of way. I've got nowhere else to go.
It's a terrible impersonation. Tim does a much
How
better
can you
Richard
do a
Gere.
terrible impersonation of a guy that was halfway through a sit-up, squeezing the words out of his mouth?
He really wasn't doing the sit-up, John. He really wasn't doing the sit-up.
Actually, he was sitting up by the time he said
That's right, when he said that part. You're right. Okay, John, the City Council passes budget with commercial tax cut. What about residential? They get a break too?
There's a tax cut still. The mayor had proposed a 1% for all classes, and the council's adjustment was to give a slightly, and I must make sure you understand, a slightly better tax cut for commercial than the residential, but the residential is still a percentage decrease in the tax rate.
So it's still coming down.
They're both still coming down.
Okay.
One is just a little more than the other. And keep in mind, I've been through this little discussion about the relationship, the tax classification systems, and I've had this conversation on the air here about how foolish I think our state government is, because it used to be that everybody was taxed at the same rate, and then politicians, in trying to win votes, which is the only reason they would do something like this, created two things. One was the homestead exemption, so people living in their homes were given a break as compared to the businesses, because, and here's the real reason, the only authentic reason, because businesses don't vote. So the homeowners got the break with the homestead exemptions, and if they didn't do that, or they may do both, the other way was to create a tax classification system. And so the General Assembly passed a law allowing tax classification where you would have different rates of tax for residential properties versus commercial and tangible properties. However, the basic rule of tax classification is that no one tax rate can be more than 50% higher than another. So that if you had a commercial tax rate that was higher than the residential, it was limited to 50% or less in a differential, the effective tax rate. So if you had a homestead exemption in the residential category, you would have to calculate the reduction of the rate by the homestead exemption compared to the commercial, and the commercial couldn't be more than 50% more. Woonsocket's was close to double, not 50% more, it was almost 100% more, because they had a special law written just for Woonsocket that allowed not just a classification system, but a homestead exemption that violated all of the rules of tax classification, limiting that differential. And this simply closes that gap like a tiny, tiny little bit in order to promote business. So despite the fact that the mayor is in the paper today saying that there are 5 council members who do not promote economic development, in fact, this small little gesture is to help promote economic development. Her complaint, I believe, more reflects the fact that we voted to eliminate the tax increment financing fund that was being set up to work on a redevelopment area, and we voted to rescind the redevelopment ordinance that was set up for the redevelopment area and the tax increment financing back in 2015 because nothing has been done with it. And the only thing that's been done didn't require that organization, but they did all of those things, and this goes back to the press release the mayor did about Resch coming to the city with a purchase and sale agreement requiring something for the council to do, and yet never communicated with us about it. And so they still had not communicated with us when they did their plans, and I literally sat through an hour-and-a-half redevelopment agency meeting listening to a presentation about Resch, and I pray to God they come to the community and finish this and do the deal. But I listened for an hour and a half while the redevelopment agency had their meeting and went through the presentation, and the people on the redevelopment agency and no one in the whole meeting even mentioned the fact that the city council was even slightly involved in this process, or even referenced the city council, or even mentioned they had to bring something to the city council, and it was as if the council is not even there. So we decided that we would do a reset and get rid of this whole plan and talk about doing it by coming to the city council with ideas, instead of bypassing the city council under the false veil of an independent redevelopment agency that can function with absolutely no interaction or communication with the city council, because frankly those 5 members of the city council have come to resent the condescension and the attitude displayed by the administration and its members about the city council, in simply saying that thinking that they can just do what they please and ignore us, and we've become tired of it, quite frankly.
So does the mayor have the authority to veto the budget that the city council put through?
She can veto it, and
Okay.
then we will
Start
override
over
it with
again?
5 votes.
Yeah, okay.
And it will be what we amended
want
it
it to
to.
be
And the amendment, by the
starting
way,
July
the
1st,
amendment
okay.
doesn't change the spending. It simply takes items out of their approved status for temporary help and for 3 unfilled positions that can still exist, and a few other categories of funding, and moves it into the contingency account. And what you do by moving things like that into the contingency account is, if they want to hire temporary help, or if they want to fill a new position and design it and describe it and bring it to the council, then the council simply does a budget amendment. It only takes 1 passage. They do a budget amendment to move whatever money is necessary into the account necessary to get it done. But what it does is it forces the administration, we hope, to finally communicate with the city council about what they're doing. Because right now, in the last year, I found 6 situations where they were contracting with parties for services illegally because they never went to bid for the service and they were spending more than $5,000, and that's a violation of state law. It was an open violation of the charter. I called them out on it, and it took me almost 4 months to get them to stop. That's not the way it's supposed to work. They never told anybody they were doing this. That's just not the way it's supposed to work.
Time for the forecast right now as we take another break here on the Coffee and program. And this forecast is being brought to you by Stress Balls De-Stressing Gummies. Sound yummy. All right, today we're looking at a mostly... What's that?
Not going to say a word.
Mostly cloudy today. There is a chance of showers coming in later this afternoon. High temperature today will be near 80 degrees. Could get windy today. Wind gusts up to 22 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly cloudy, gradually becoming mostly clear. Low temperature around 60 degrees. Thursday's weather, mostly sunny and warmer. High near 85. Thursday night, partly cloudy, low 63. Friday, a partly sunny day, slight chance of some showers in the afternoon, high near 86. And the outlook for Saturday, partly sunny and a high near 81. And currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street, we have 69 degrees.
People ask what PACE is. Well, PACE is a different kind of health plan. There's really nothing like it. Because PACE was created to give older people with health challenges the care and support they need to keep living at home. If you have a parent who wants to remain independent and live at home, but needs help to do so, call 401-654-4176 or visit pace-ri.org and see what a difference PACE can make in both of your lives.
The Call, your daily community newspaper, is now more locally focused than ever before, with local columnists appearing in The Call almost every day of the week. We encourage you, our readers, and all businesses throughout our community, submit your local business news to The Call by emailing us directly at notices@onesocketcall.com. I'll repeat, notices@onesocketcall.com, or call us directly at 767-8550.
Hi, this is Don Burnell inviting you to join us on the Midday Show every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday with the Super Quiz, great oldies, and interesting guests.
Don Burnell is back Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 1 p.m.
All right, Coffee and on ON, AM, and FM. This is Joe Callahan here with John Ward, Melissa Smith, and Tim Draper. And Tim, time for a first message from Navigant Credit Union.
Thank you, Joe. Just wanted to make you all aware as we begin our reopening process here at the credit union. You know, slow and steady has been our approach to restoring branch operations to normal hours. And it looks like Monday, June 8th, we're going to have another wave of 3 more branches that will open up to what is essentially normal business hours. No longer by appointments. You can walk into the branch with the guidelines and restrictions that are set forth by the Department of Health. But it looks like our Manville branch will open, so that's effective for the audience. Our Greenville branch will also go back to normal status, as will our Rumford branch. So those locations starting on Monday, you'll be able to walk back into those branches pretty much without needing any appointment. The other thing that is good for that, or around that, is we're also going to be revising our social distancing guidelines a little bit and go from our 6-member limit in a branch to 15. So, no longer will people, I think, have to be waiting outside to get in the branch. I think that we'll be able to accommodate most of the folks that are coming into a branch at any given point in time, which will be good. I think for our staff, they are a little nervous still, so it'll keep everybody happy. And I think that if you're interested in making sure you're up to date on all this information, go to our website, navigantcu.org, and click on the COVID update page, and that'll give you all the latest information about which branches are open, which branches are still by appointment. And then come on in and visit us, and you, as always, can do all your banking with us in person or online.
All right, Tim. Thank you very much. Question for Melissa. Ready, Melissa?
I hope so.
Okay. When do you see when people can start visiting people inside nursing homes in the state of Rhode Island? Because I'm looking at the front page of the Call today, and unfortunately, 3/4 of the COVID deaths in the state of Rhode Island, the people that have passed away have come from nursing homes. So is there any date that you see where people can start visiting assisted living and nursing home facilities again?
Well, I could give you the answer that our families want to hear, or I could give you the
That would be last month.
that I could give you the realistic truth coming from the state. I mean, I think the state at this point I've been very honest with you all on the air week to week that I feel like we've gotten a lot of support and instruction as far as guidelines to follow, but it's dropped off a little bit the last few weeks. I think we've gotten pushed to the back burner, and by that I mean phase 3, whatever that is, whenever that is. It's looking like they are thinking July, but the measures that have to be in place in order to open are almost completely unrealistic.
Really?
It's being shared at this point that all facilities have experienced testing of staff and residents. That's not the case. Not all facilities have been fully tested at this time. And there's a difference between assisted living and long-term care and that process. I believe all long-term cares have been swept with testing, but assisted livings haven't all been tested yet, including us here at the Villa. And it's not mandatory of every employee and every resident. And so the stipulation to reopen, as I've been reading the guidelines, is that everybody must be tested, everybody must be negative, and then there is, for those facilities that have had active cases in them, there's a 14-day grace period from the very last negative test in that building. So everyone would have to be tested, once, twice, negative test results received twice, and then 14 days past that point, you can reopen after another round of testing. So it's almost impossible guidelines that we're looking at. So what we're thinking, and I'm sure I'm a resident, obviously, and an employee in this state, and I'm looking at what we just experienced last night, and you're thinking, okay, rioting, all these numbers are going to go back up again. I was thinking it even before the rioting and the protests.
I contend they won't.
I just feel like these numbers are going to go back up again come August, September, with or without it. I was thinking that anyways, and I just think we're never going to be able to get ahead of that uptick again to satisfy the state enough to reopen. So we're starting to come up with creative ideas in our own community. I'm sure you've seen all the viral videos of like little, plexiglass frame structures and trying to put a senior inside of it and the family on the other side. I mean, we're trying to come up with what can we
mobile.
Improve. It's just not looking good. I think at this time, I've shared with you that we have our Monday night lights where cars come around our property and they wave to the residents on the inside. That helps. I mean, that's helped a lot of families be able to see their loved one on a balcony, even if it's away. It's not enough, but it helps. So we're trying to figure out what else can we do from 20 feet away that the state would be okay with. We're learning more and more about the virus and the way that it contracts on surfaces and the way it's transmitted. So I'm hoping now that we're learning more about the virus, we can start to come up with new ways to just at least provide some social interaction. It may not be contact. That might be impossible even this year. I mean, it's unlikely that we'll even get a vaccine until after Christmas. So that combined with flu on top of norovirus, on top of all these other things that normally hit facilities like ours in the winter season, I'm hoping by next spring, which is such a sad thought process, that we'll be back to normal operations. But I think between now and then, there's always going to be some kind of modification, and I don't think we'll actually fully reopen to visitors coming into our buildings for a very long time.
Melissa, if I may,
grip on this, which is not what I want to tell you.
Okay.
If I may, a question, because I've heard the last couple of days questions being asked at the press briefing with the governor and chatter about it in other places about the fact that you mentioned the sharp difference between those who are in long-term care versus those who are in assisted living, because many people in assisted living actually have automobiles parked outside.
That's right.
And generally can come and go. And there's a strong sense of imprisonment felt by those who are otherwise relatively healthy, only need some assistance in their living arrangements, and should be able to move about, and yet are prohibited because they're in prison, basically.
Right. It's like they've been grounded. That's how they're seeing it as. You've grounded me to my room.
Are they moving faster on getting some accommodations made for people who should otherwise be able to venture out into the world? I mean, by the way, going back to what I started to speak over you when you said this, I am speculating that the number of tests, positive tests, and certainly not I doubt the number of deaths will go up as a result of these protests, and I seriously doubt that the number of positive tests will rise again as a result of it. because I think the isolation that's going on and the separation that's going on between those who have it and those who don't has gone on for a long enough time that I think all of those mobsters out there and those who are protesting peacefully have probably not been exposed within their community for a very long time to this, because we've isolated the cases so much that I doubt this will be more than, even if it is anything, it will be nothing more than a blip on the screen.
Well, I hope that's the case, John, but I look at it more from the standpoint of, and we've had this discussion about, staff. We come in and out of this community. We go out and shop in our own communities, and even with the protests.
I walked against the arrows yesterday.
Ooh, you rebel.
Rule breaker. Rebel.
He's a rebel.
You're an anarchist, John.
Truly a rebel without a cause.
About, we're one community. There's, almost hundreds of long-term care facilities across the state, and I just feel like you can't be naive to assume that there's not staff that are participating in these demonstrations that are not on exposed units. And there's always that threat and there's always that concern, and you hope that your staff goes home and follows the rules and doesn't expose themselves or expose others. But, I think that would be naive to assume that they're not participating in these demonstrations as well and possibly bringing it out there into, the streets for these movements that are happening. But also, that's just long-term care. You're talking hospital workers, et cetera. So I don't know if I'm with you on that one. I feel like there is going to be some increased cases.
The other one, I wonder, Melissa, if you've heard, because you're in that industry, read an article last couple of days about the fact that they're figuring out that this particular virus has more to do with, less to do with how it affects the lungs, though it starts there. But actually the killer component to this seems to be about what it does to the blood. And that even those people who are on respirators and that you would think are getting sufficient air intake through the respirators still suffer acute problems and death, because apparently it affects the blood and it's clotting factors that cause heart attacks and other matters. And apparently that's where younger people who have cholesterol issues apparently are having a harder time with this than other populations. So they recommend if you have a need to take cholesterol medication that you take it. I just don't know if the medical people are talking about these differentiations in this particular virus, or if people gotten frustrated talking about the aspects of the virus and just more concerned with being trapped.
I think that the initial collection of data when this was first sort of hitting facilities was just taking a look at, we were looking more at symptoms, we're looking more at the fact of, how rapidly some of our residents would go from asymptomatic for 2 weeks and then all of a sudden spike all of these different symptoms. And then for those cases that unfortunately resulted with death, I don't even know if the staff has had a minute to pause, and it's not just our facility, it's all facilities that have been experiencing this. You're going at 150 miles an hour. Have they had a chance to really stop and analyze the symptoms and the development of their symptoms over those last few days before ultimately the cause of death? And I think it's always so important to remember that a lot of them were already compromised to begin with. So
right, and I think that was the point of this, was that many of them are compromised, but that in an attempt to save patients by, as I said, putting them on respirators and doing some other things, that I think they're discovering that some of them may have been missing the target. Not that they necessarily could have saved all of these patients. Many of the patients in nursing homes are elderly and frail, and this is more of an acceleration to their death than it is to a death sentence for somebody who is otherwise healthy.
Correct.
And so it's not to point a finger or do anything like that. I think in younger patients, that people are showing symptoms of items that would tend to make you think that this is more of a blood disorder. And apparently it's very rare that these viruses will affect the blood. It has something to do with how they interact with the various proteins and aspects of the virus that interact with the body and how they do it. And generally it would be, with this kind of virus, a respiratory issue, but apparently they're discovering that many of the symptoms would indicate that it's actually having a double impact by getting into the lungs and then actually transferring its issues into the bloodstream and affecting the blood and coagulating and antibodies and hypersensitivity and creates, like you say, going from 0 to 615 seconds kind of thing with your problems. And it just overwhelms the body.
Okay. Tim.
Yeah.
Okay, still there. Very good. Now, we want to see if, Tim, your opinion, did the city of Newport, are they overreaching here? Are they just out of their minds? The Newport City Council, John, voted 6-1 that you have to wear a mask 24 hours a day on select streets in Newport, and I'm thinking it's Thames and Bellevue Avenue and America's Cup Avenue. Tim, is it overreach?
Well, it seems to be a little bit of a reaction to something that I'm not sure is a problem yet. It's a solution in search of a problem, I guess. I think that everything I've seen in Newport, at least half to three-quarters of the people that they show in the news have masks on. Mm-hmm. And then there's a group of people that don't, but you can say that about any town in Rhode Island. I went to Home Depot this weekend or Lowe's this weekend, and I think most of the people that were in the store had masks on.
Okay.
Most. Few didn't.
But this is being outside, walking on the sidewalk.
I know. But you know what? Bellevue Avenue, lots of people, tourist season.
Yeah.
Tight areas. Maybe they've got a point, but I don't know. I really struggle with that, Joe. I got to tell you, I'm not a big fan of government telling me what I got to do and not do.
John,
it's just
my only response would require that I quote you from Monty Python episodes.
Bunch of loonies.
That's one of them. We should promote them to the ministers of silly walks.
Okay. Just kind of ridiculous.
You're a loony.
Have you heard about this, Melissa? Where you got to wear masks in Newport, and only on certain streets. But if you're on a side street, you're okay.
No, I hadn't heard it, and I think it's crazy.
Well, it starts on Friday, so if you want to get down to Newport today and not, yes, it's punishable by, I don't know, they must get a fine or something.
So whereas the state's guidance for face masks is guidance, right? Newport took a step further and said, okay, we're mandating it in the law.
What I found amusing last night, looking at the protesters in Boston and in Brockton, of the people that were wearing their masks on their chin. Like, this is brilliant. hooked around the ears, hanging around their neck. I'm like,
I can just see John Jacob Astor in his best Sunday dress with a mask on.
Let me say this about Newport.
All right.
If it was important because of the congestion in the streets or the risk of that, I am sure Nanny Raimondo would have had her health department mandated for certain streets across the state.
Okay.
And if Nanny Raimondo didn't take care of it, then there's no need for Newport to take care of it.
I'm wondering if they're thinking a big crush of tourism is coming. And I don't think it's happening this summer.
Yeah, right.
We got to protect ourselves from the big crush. That's not coming.
Did anybody mention that they opened the beaches and nobody came?
And no one showed up, right? Okay. All right. Tim, it's time for a second message from Navigant Credit Union, please.
All right, Joe. Let me talk to the business owners out there that participated in the PPP loan. It's that time now where we're starting to talk about the forgiveness part of the process. Rest assured, the federal government is moving the goalposts as we speak. The SBA, there are no official guidelines that you have to follow. We're waiting for the final rulings from everybody. So if you got a loan from us, sit tight. We're going to communicate with everybody individually, and we're going to make sure that we walk you through the process, hopefully automate it for you so that it's a real simple process that you have to go through. But I have some friends that said, I got an 11-page letter, I got to fill out this big application, and I just tell them, sit tight. If you get it from us, sit tight. We'll walk you through it. There's no rush. And I think that's really the message for any financial institution. And I'm not sure that the SBA has put a rush on this thing yet. And the final guidance is not in hand. So don't panic. Give us a call if you're concerned. But there's nothing you can do at the moment that we think is worth your time and effort. Concentrate on your business and getting back to profitability, and then we'll worry about the other process when the time comes. That said, when the loan is paid off and you find yourself still needing a little bit of cash because there's still a little bit of a crunch, you just got to get over the hump. Navigant's here and their commercial lending team is always available, working with the SBA all the time to put money and capital into small business hands so that they can do the things they have to do. So if you need a little extra assistance besides PPP, give us a call at navigantcu.org. I'm sorry, go online, navigantcu.org, or give us a call at 233-4700 and ask for somebody on the commercial lending team, and they'll help you out.
Very good, Tim. And more of the Coffee and program is coming up. Please stay tuned.
I'm here with Kara Benjamin of the Benjamin Insurance Agency. Kara, what can you tell me about the insurance industry?
The industry changes so frequently due to many different factors, things like increased weather-related storms, the invention of smartphones and social media, which increase the amount of distracted drivers, even the cost of cars. Today, people are buying $30,000, $40,000, even $50,000 cars with every kind of option you can think of. All these things impact the insurance industry, and it's important to keep current.
You're in good hands with Allstate and Kara and Celeste Benjamin of the Benjamin Insurance Agency, 125 Eddie Dowling Highway, across from Dowling Village in North Smithfield, 765-5000.
Our business is truly a referral business, and we have built it based on our premier service level and commitment to what we do. If you are looking for personalized service with people who care, that would be us.
The Baroaster House restaurant on Pond Street in Woonsocket is open for takeout and delivery of any dish on their menu. All you have to do is call them at 762-1717. Tell them if you'll pick it up or if you want it delivered. You have a choice. The Broaster House is open 7 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday from 4 to 8, Thursday 4 to 9, and Friday and Saturday 3 to 9, Sundays noon to 8. You don't have to miss your favorite Broaster House meal. Order, takeout, or delivery at 762-1717. That's 762-1717. The Broaster House.
Hey, this is Boney James.
And I'm Dave Koz, inviting you to listen in this weekend when my very special guest will be super saxophonist Boney James. Always a great guest, lots of great music, and fun conversation as well, so tune in for that. And remember to visit DaveKoz.com during the week and listen in this weekend, Boney James and yours truly, on the Dave Koz Radio Show.
Hi, fans of smooth jazz. The Dave Koz Radio Show can only be heard on ON Radio, 1240 AM, 99.5 FM every Sunday. Twice on Sundays, 6 to 8 in the morning, and then 7 to 9 in the evening. The Dave Koz Radio Show is brought to you by the Carew Investment Group. It's the Dave Koz Radio Show right here on
ON, AM, and FM.
All right, it's Coffee In on ON, AM, and FM, and this is Joe Callahan here with John Ward. Melissa Smith and Tim Draper are here as well. Okay, ready for the silly news?
I'm hoping I know what you're going to talk about.
I don't even know where I'm going to start. So
any Darwin Awards among
All right,
them?
can I give you a funny story to
Yes,
start with?
yeah, sure. That's fine.
Okay,
Go ahead.
So, you know when you open up Projo online, and to the left they have, the most popular stories that are trending for the day in the area, or at least in New England? So there's a headline, and I had to read it twice.
All right.
Man charged with assault after thrown pickle hits worker.
I did see that headline, and I don't know where did it take place.
That's what's cracking me up. So it says a Massachusetts man is facing an assault charge after he alleges a large pickle from a moving vehicle that hit a Vermont highway worker.
All right.
It happened in Massachusetts, or it must have been right on the line, because the person, I guess, that's being charged is from Williamstown, which is right over the line to Vermont. But I had to do a double take. I'm like, this is trending right now. This is the most popular story, or second most popular story in New England area.
Yes, because you don't want to get hit with a large pickle. Could hurt.
The time we're in right now with so many serious stories, I just thought, oh my gosh, people are really craving something to make them laugh.
Sure. All right. So there's you like pickles, Tim? Okay.
I do.
All right, John. Monty Python's from England and all, and you like to say you're a loony kind of thing. How about this couple?
And now for something completely
different. Yes, a husband is being slammed online. He wants to name his new baby Cube.
As in Q-U-B-E?
Yeah, C-U-B-E. C-U-B-E.
Well,
as in Rubik's Cube. As in Rubik's Cube. He's said to be a math genius and thought it would be cute to reference that in the name. The husband's the math genius, not the baby.
The husband is the math genius.
So let's name him Cube. Yeah.
Cube.
Yeah. His wife is kind of against this. Would you be against it, Melissa?
Yes.
Well, her choice of names is not much better.
What's hers? To the third power?
No.
Oh.
Sweater.
Sweater.
Yeah. She wants to go with sweater rather than...
Dweezil Zappa.
She calls it the stupidest name ever and went online for advice.
I vote for Apple.
That's been taken. So far, users agree with her. Sweater is better than Cube. Some even say Rube would be better than Cube. I don't think so. That's gonna. I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go with Rube.
Wow.
So that's what they're dealing with in England. So what to name your children?
What does he want for the middle name?
Like
Does he want Root? Does he want Root for the middle name? Cube Root?
Maybe.
Oh.
What was that, Tim?
I was going to say, at least I would rather have those problems than what we have.
Okay. Well, they got the problems too over there. So.
Yeah.
All right.
I think something more geometric would be better. Parallelogram would be good.
Hexagon?
They could call him Graham for short.
I was going to say, I always look for the nickname. So,
yeah, that's right. Well, that's like Elon Musk.
And suppose somebody decided to pronounce
child.
Cube Cubby.
They will.
There you go.
They'll get around to it. And Elon Musk named his child like A-X12.
His name is Elon. What do you expect?
No, his son. Well, yeah, okay.
His son, yeah.
Well, they'll just shorten that to Ash, and that's that'll be fine.
If
or X.
Somebody said they did that, and Hollywood people do that because they want to protect the kid's identity, so they come up with these crazy names for the public. But
I'm
behind the
trying
scenes, their
to
real birth
think
name
of
is
the
Fred.
multi-word name that they used in Monty Python that I can't think of right now. But there is one that I'm drawing a blank. I'll dig it up.
Okay. Now we've all had this happen to us. I'm assuming we've all had this happen to us, where you have checked a book out of a library and have forgot to bring it back on time, and you got to pay the little fine.
Yes.
Has that happened to everybody?
At some point.
Melissa and Tim?
Not everybody.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
No?
Yeah,
Okay.
many people.
All right. Someone has gone into the Guinness Book of World Records in Illinois for the highest fine paid.
Ooh.
Yep.
So they actually paid it.
And they paid it, which is amazing.
Well, it's cheaper to buy the book.
Yeah, you should just have kept it. $345
Oh, my goodness.
is the fine. It made it into the Guinness Book of World Records. Emily Canales Sims paid over $345 after she returned the book Day in Deeds, don't know what that book is, to the Kewanee Public Library. Now, the problem is she never checked this book out. It was found in her mother's house, and the due date on the book, when it was supposed to be returned, was April 15th, 1955. So someone's going to do the math. Is that a nickel a day? for the next 60 years. So 300.
I can't believe it's only $300.
You think it would have been more? You're right.
Yeah.
All right.
At 5 cents a day, it would have been more.
Yeah. Okay. Now, John, you're probably not going to believe this because I don't believe it.
I believe it.
WGN America. Do you know who they are?
WGN. It's
Yeah.
Chicago.
Out of Chicago. It's a station. That's right. It's a TV station.
Yes.
They're promising its new newscast will be nonpartisan. See, I think that's almost impossible to do. It plans to debut News Nation on September 1st. All right. Executive Vice President Sean Compton says his company has done extensive research and found a large audience is seeking a news service without a political opinion. All right.
Isn't that what American News was supposed to be for?
One American News is they're kind of slanted to the right though.
Well, anything that is not liberal, people characterize as slanted to the right.
Oh, right.
Because they have no sense of what is balanced.
So that's what they'll do with this then. So the company hired local journalists who have not been at opinionated networks.
Oh, so they've been unemployed.
Yes, that's right. News Nation is considered a gamble by WGN and its parent company Nexstar Media Group. Don't they own Channel 12?
Yeah, they do.
Or
Channel 12, I think.
Channel 12.
Okay. It has received negative feedback from researchers at Arizona State University saying it will be difficult to break the viewing habits that have become common over the years.
It is.
Oh, that's true.
It tends to be bland. It tends to be bland because if you're reporting facts and data,
it's dull.
It's very difficult to do it without expressing some bias just by virtue of the way you say it. It's not an easy thing to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And people are going to be skeptical anyway. Everybody right now is skeptical of what they hear on the news. Is it real? Is it not real? You can probably thank social media for that more than anything.
And as soon as you say you're nonpartisan, people are going to say, "No, you're not."
Oh, you're partisan.
Or you're lying. They're just not going to believe you.
I think it's a poor choice of words. I would say it's neutral. Just generally call it neutral.
Well, wasn't it Fox News that said
news reporting?
Fair and balanced.
Fair and balanced.
They call it fair and balanced.
Do they still say that?
Yeah, they still do.
They do
from
say
time
that.
to time.
Yeah.
Certain
Oh,
people on
okay.
the show do.
Mm-hmm.
Not as a network promo thing, but as certain people
network
on certain shows say it.
Okay. We got to run. We got to go.
And many people laugh.
The show's come to an end. So thank you very much for listening. Melissa Smith, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Tim, thanks for joining us as well.
Thanks again, everybody.
All right. John, thanks for coming in.
Summer's early. Enjoy the God-given day.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
I'm Joe Callahan. We'll talk to you this afternoon. Stay tuned for Community Care Alliance. It's next here on ON, AM, and FM.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the